Zero Season 3, Episode 38 starts right now. Welcome to the show. If you thought the intro music was loud, just get ready for our voices because today's episode is exciting. I'm Brandon Davis, joined today by Jenna Anderson.
Hey, everybody.
We got Aaron Perrine.
What's going on?
And welcome, I believe for the first time ever on Phase Zero. Oh my gosh, the world's going crazy. Logan Moore.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. BD, I stole your spot here in the studio for today.
Hey, keep it warm. Keep it warm in there. Logan, welcome to Phase Zero. We have Logan on today because in the second half of today's episode of Phase Zero, we're going to be talking to Spider-Man himself from the Spider-Man video games. Yuri Lowenthal is on Phase Zero, and Logan is a key member of comicbook.com's gaming coverage, and Logan has played Spider-Man 2. So, Logan, first of all, before we talk about Spider-Man 2, tell us about yourself in the most important way. How big of a Marvel fan are you?
I have been brainwashed to enjoy Marvel content since I was a young child at the age of like 2 or 3. So Marvel has been a part of my life since I've been in diapers. You can thank my father for that. And it's just been, it's just been part of my life ever since. I've kind of fallen off with the comics in recent years. It's been harder to keep up with the comics. And I've also kind of fallen off some of the MCU stuff as well. But I feel like I have a nice little like backlog that I've built up for myself that whenever I want to dive back in, it's all kind of there for me at this point. But yeah, I still love Marvel stuff. Spider-Man's my favorite. So it's been a thrill to play the new Spider-Man game over the past week. That's been a lot of fun.
We are going to go ahead and act like you didn't say what you said about the MCU part of your fandom, but the rest of it, we love it. No, we're excited to have you on the show. I want to hear about Spider-Man 2 because you wrote a review for comicbook.com, which everybody can go on comicbook.com/gaming and read the review. You seem to have really enjoyed Spider-Man 2. So if you can impart us with some of your knowledge, your experience on Spider-Man 2, because I'm pretty excited for this game. It's like a month away now.
Yeah, I played. So last week I got to go out to LA. I played about 2 or 3 hours of the game in total. Most of it seemed pretty early on. Like it feels like Peter had just gotten the black suit about an hour or so before the demo that they dropped me into. And if you've seen the other gameplay presentations that they've been showing off throughout the course of this year, the one where he's like chasing Lizard and Kraven is chasing both Spider-Man and Lizard, I got to play that section and some of the missions surrounding it. It's great. I said like that I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I am specifically a fan of the whole symbiote saga, the black suit arc. That is like my favorite thing in all of Spider-Man. So I was really geeking out getting to use the symbiote and just whip up 10 bad guys at a time with Spider-Man's tentacles and bash them all into the ground. And there are a lot of really cool combos in this game that you can pull off, not only with the new gadgets that they have introduced, but also the new symbiote abilities and stuff like that. It makes me, I obviously didn't get to see this in my demo, but it makes me sad knowing that they're probably going to tear the symbiote away from you at some point in the middle of the game. So, I mean, obviously, we'll see what happens there, but the symbiote's really cool. I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, man. So they didn't give you like an early code to play the whole thing at home. You had to go to LA and play for. Wow. Yeah,
no, I went to they had an event for it. I've posted some like videos of like the setup that they had and stuff like that on our comic book gaming TikTok channel. So you can kind of see what the event space looked like. It was really cool. And I just got to go hands-on with, about 3 hours of the early part of the game. So I haven't played it.
Do you think they're even going to send out the full game before release for reviewers? Or is this one of those that people are going to have to you got to review it opening day?
They'll send it out. They'll send it out. I mean, this is PlayStation's biggest game of the year, so they're definitely going to send it out in advance. And I mean, the game is going to be great, so I'm sure they're not afraid to put it in people's hands.
Yeah.
And like, it's going to be a glowing response, I imagine, next month when it does finally come out. I will say they are being very dodgy with things, though. I had an interview afterwards with some people at Insomniac. I tried to ask them about certain like story elements of the game, and they were giving me no comments on just about anything I asked that touched on the narrative. They're being very, very tight-lipped. So we'll see if
more
that changes on here in a second.
Wow. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll throw some of those at Yuri and see what we get him to spill. But first, we have some news. We have a major announcement right here on Phase Zero. It's about Phase Zero. Starting on October 5th, we will be recording 2 episodes every single week. We will have our regular Wednesday show as we have right now, which is very exciting in itself. And then on Thursday nights, immediately following new episodes of Loki, we will be live. We will be here to interact with you and guide the conversation, breaking down every new episode of Loki for 6 straight weeks. So when Loki episodes end, open up your YouTube app, join us on video, join the conversation. If the episode is 45 minutes long, that means at 9:45 p.m. Eastern time, our countdown will be on and Phase Zero will be going live. If the episode is 50 minutes long, 9:50. If it's 30 minutes long, you do the math. Bonus episodes of Phase Zero every single week for every episode of Loki. This is the first time we've had a chance to do this.
I'm so excited for this. I know I speak for a lot of the fandom of the communal experience of staying up late until 2 or 3 in the morning to watch a Disney Plus episode is one thing, but getting to have it be prime time, I know that's been a huge thing with Ahsoka, but getting to have that with Loki and then getting to immediately talk about it is going to be so much fun. Also, that one episode we did, I think for the No Way Home trailer, where we did like a later episode in the evening, the energy of that was so fun. I feel like having that energy for 6 weeks is going to be great. I'm so excited.
We sat here last night. We all talked about it. There was a lot of back and forth in our decision on this because it was like, do we want to go Thursday night? Do we want to do it Friday morning? Do we want to do Friday afternoon? And I sat there and I was just like, listen, there is no better time to do it than immediately after the episode, because that is when everybody is going to be the most excited, be ready to talk about it all at the same time. And we've been asking here in the U.S. I know we have listeners all over the world. I'm so sorry. We're the spoiled ones on this one. You all have been spoiled for the past 3 years. It's our turn now. We get to watch Loki in our primetime slot, which finally gives us an opportunity to go live, not at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't think we would be able to convince Jim, Peter, Richard, Jamie, Aaron, Jenna, and myself to go live at 3 in the morning and do a show. I did one breakdown overnight of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier at like 5 in the morning. It performed great on the YouTube channel, but I was like, I'm never doing that again. It screwed up my whole week. So we're doing it right after new episodes of Loki here on Phase Zero. And the podcast will be available as it is. The audio will be going out on all the podcast platforms as it does to break down the episodes. Hopefully we'll be able to get that out Thursday night. But if not, it will be ready for you on Friday morning. I don't know how the processing time on that all works, but very exciting stuff here with Phase Zero and Loki. Probably the most exciting Disney Plus show of the year. Let's be honest about it. But let's get to some MCU news, because that was your Phase Zero news segment. That was unexpected. That was a first. We have MCU news, and we're going to jump into that right now before Yuri Lowenthal joins the program in the second half.
Yeah, so just to start off, a new report from Vanity Fair shed some light on the budget for the Marvels, and it said that it is only $130 million. So if this is true, which it always is kind of a like touch and go thing with budgets, this would be lower than most MCU films, and it would be lower than the $212 million that Secret Invasion cost. Thor Force, Doctor Strange 2, Eternals, No Way Home, Black Widow, Quantumania were all more than $200 million. I looked up Guardians 3 and it was $250 million. So what do we think about this budget? I personally don't have a problem with it. Maybe they just ran a very efficient set and maybe they just used their money very wisely. So I don't see it as a bad thing, but how do y'all feel about it?
Maybe they used AI.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. The first reaction everybody's going to have is going to be like, oh my God, this is going to be low budget. It's going to be crap. I don't think you can come to that conclusion yet. I think you have to wait and see. Also, it's a smaller cast than a lot of those movies. I mean, I'm sure Scarlett Johansson commanded quite a payday for Black Widow by the time she finally became Black Widow. I don't think Brie Larson's Captain Marvel contract has expired yet, though I imagine she wasn't cheap for the first movie in the first place. But yeah, it's interesting that it is that low, but it's also a time when these studios are tightening the belt a bit. And we'll see if that report even ends up being true. Who knows if that includes like the reshoots, which if the reshoots are true, that everybody on X and Patreon and everything is talking about, I imagine those might have ballooned it up a bit. But if it's 130 and it turns out being great, well, then who cares what they spent?
There's some discussion in the comment section about whether or not this is for the entire bit of filming or if it's just 2 or 3 months. I mean, these things cost so much money to make that even only 120 million is like wild. Somewhere our buddy Angel Manuel Soto is like crying into a Coke can because he's like, why couldn't I just get like 40 more million to do Blue Beetle? But I'm still excited. Sometimes that ingenuity breeds really cool decisions and like stuff and approaches that you would never think of. So as long as the movie's good, I'm not here for the scoreboard watching. Like, we learned nothing from The Flash. Like, the money spent on a thing does not indicate quality most of the time. except for furniture. Don't cheap out on your backs and your butts, everybody.
That Blue Beetle budget on a quick Google search, $104 million.
Yeah.
And honestly, Blue Beetle, I enjoyed Blue Beetle quite a bit, and I thought it looked good.
Yeah.
I don't think it really mattered. And it had scenes in space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Logan, if you have anything you want to add, you're more than welcome. I don't know if you want to chop it up on the deep cut movie budget conversation.
I was just going to say, like, I feel like some of the best movies of all time have been made on budgets, and those have often like led to further creativity because you have to work within a set of strict guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, like if the script is good, if the story they're looking to tell is good, I have no doubt the movie will be solid as well. I don't know. If they do have some Flash level CGI in this, that may not sit well with people. But again, at the end of the day, if everybody's hopes and dreams for bringing all the different Captain Marvels on the same screen works out well, then I think everybody's going to be happy. Very
interestingly, this being like the lowest budget Marvel film in a while, if this 130 million budget is accurately describing the cost of the full production, maybe we missed something because I see Julia in the comments saying it's 2 or 3 months of filming. So I'm not really sure if this covers the whole thing. But if it does, if $130 million is reflective of the entire budget for the Marvels, that would seem to indicate that shortest little runtime could actually also be true. Because if you shave 30 minutes off Guardians, maybe you also shave $70 million off of the budget. So who knows? Who knows? But I don't think budget and runtime determine what's a good movie. Like Logan just said, The Creator, that is not an insanely high budget film. It's not a low budget film, but that is my favorite movie of the year. I'll tell you right now, The Creator was fantastic. And what Gareth Edwards did was he said, I'll shoot this thing on the cheap. He said, we'll take some of this budget. We'll take it. There's actually an interview I had that's going to publish on Comic Book probably today with Gareth, where he says, we took the budget. We had this much budget. Usually this much goes to production. We said, we'll use this much for production and then this much for visual effects. So we let ILM do their thing. And they found a way to shoot The Creator on a budget that I think a lot of sci-fi movies don't usually use. And I cannot recommend The Creator enough. The movie is phenomenal. See it. What's that?
I said, when is that out again? The Creator?
September 29th. Go people. Go support an original idea. I know it's a Disney, it's not a small indie film, but it's an original idea. And if the top 3 movies of the year end up being, Oppenheimer, Barbie, and The Creator, none of them are sequels. That's crazy. But anyway, let's get back to Marvel. We don't talk about that stuff on Phase Zero.
Except for when we do.
Right.
Ahsoka? No, I can't. I'll go an hour.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Richard will stomp in here like the Kool-Aid Man.
Seriously.
Speaking of coming back to Marvel, Chris Evans had some comments about playing Captain America again and GQ. Long profile of our neurotic king doing his thing in Boston, wanting to be a woodworker, but also thinking about picking up the shield again, possibly. He said, I'll never say never just because it was such a wonderful experience, but I'm also very precious with it. It's something that I'm very proud of. And like I said, sometimes I can't even believe it happened. And I wouldn't want the black eye if it felt like it was just a cash grab, or if it didn't live up to expectations, or if it just felt like it wasn't connected to that original thing. So no time soon. So don't expect him back sometime soon, but he sounds like he can be lured out of early retirement when we think about Chris Evans coming back.
I'm so glad that he said it this way. I think we had this whole conversation a couple weeks ago on the show about potentially recasting characters in the MCU and potentially getting to that point. I think the way that he phrased this answer further cements the idea of if down the line we need a new Steve Rogers, we should get another actor's take on it, as opposed to just making Chris Evans come back and probably having it be diminishing returns of what was great the first time. So I feel like he's going to be in Secret Wars in one way or another, even if it is as Cap or Human Torch or whatever else. But I'm glad that he has this outlook on it.
Put him in there as both. As both. He said in that same interview he was ecstatic to play Human Torch at the time. Be ecstatic again, Chris. Be on fire. No, I'm with you. Jenna, I love Chris Evans as Captain America. Obviously, it's Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson time right now, but you also know I love Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. I would love to get more time with those characters because of how much I love the time I spent with them already. But that doesn't mean that if they come back, it's going to be a good thing. It would be exciting. If they said, you want it or not, I'd say, I want it. But I think it doesn't happen until Secret Wars. And I really hope that if that's true, no matter when it is, it's done tremendously well. Because like he said, this is precious. Not just to him. It makes sense it's precious to him, but I think to the fans as well.
Yeah, I mentioned it like I've kind of not kept up with the MCU stuff as much. And I think a lot of that's just because I miss so many people like Chris Evans. And that's felt across the entire Marvel fandom. But like you were saying, BD, I don't want him to come back as well and just have it be a cash grab or anything like that. Like, it has to be the right story. It has to make sense within what they're doing with Marvel at the time. I do want to see him back, though. I will say this, too. When he stepped away from the role, didn't he kind of make it known that he wanted to go and, like, tackle other projects and stuff like that? And I feel like in the years since, like, some of the films that have come out with him have not been the best. So I feel like, I wonder if that's weighed on him at all and has made him think, like, maybe I should go back to playing Steve Rogers sooner rather than later, you know? So
everybody has their Doolittle.
That's true.
But yeah, he's also had Glass Onion.
Yeah.
Or not
or Knives Out.
The first one, Knives Out, yeah. But yeah, it seems like a lot of people, when they leave the franchise, it's like, oh, how do I find my footing outside of Marvel? Sometimes they do. Sometimes it takes a minute. All right, we got to keep moving here because we got a few more minutes, and then we got to get to our very exciting interview coming up in the second half of the show.
Yeah, so then speaking of just Disney Plus stuff, we have a lot of interesting announcements. Werewolf by Night is being re-released in color on Disney Plus on October 20th. And Michael Giacchino, friend of the show, said, "We spent a lot of time working on this color version. We wanted to pay homage to the incredible vibrant color in horror films like the ones that Hammer made. It's a whole new look for Werewolf by Night." I originally, when this was announced, was not on board with this idea. I felt like, oh, this is just like something to add more content to Disney Plus in lieu of the strikes. And this is just, giving people an alternative if they don't like black and white movies. But I hearing him talk about it makes me a little more excited. I'm very curious how the final twist of the special is going to go, because that literally hinges on the black and white of it all. But what do you guys think about it?
I mean, okay, so he obviously has this love for like previous Universal monster movies and like CBS daytime special presentations and stuff. And part of the key of making that stuff look good in black and white is that the colors really have to be good. Like, the one thing watching the Guardians Assembled, which I did because we had to write some stuff here for the website, and I hadn't watched one in a while. Watching the behind the scenes of the WandaVision first episodes where it's in black and white is fascinating, because I'm like, you really have to just completely put your brain sideways to make something in color look right in black and white. Like, Vision is blue in episodes 1 and 2 of WandaVision the entire time. And it is the weirdest images of Paul Bettany in the wrong color 2 times over. It's very, very weird. So I'm excited to see what he's got cooking. Also, excited to hear Womp 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 again.
I was already going to rewatch this, so this gives me a reason. I thought it was perfect in black and white, but knowing that Michael Giacchino actually was heavily involved in the choices and the redesign, it gives me more faith. That's the bottom line. All right, let's keep moving real quick. Daredevil. Ooh, this one's saucy. This one's a little saucy. Daredevil showrunner from the Netflix show, Stephen DeKnight, says the Disney Plus reboot is a scam. I was asked about it by somebody on Twitter. Thomas asked, said they canceled the Daredevil once the crew got a full raise and holiday/vacation pay. The Disney Plus reboot is back to season 1 IATSE contract terms. It's a effing scam. Only he didn't say effing. I wonder if Stephen DeKnight knows that. And Stephen DeKnight quoted it. Quote posted, of course, proper terms now. Said he does. It's an old Disney scam where they slightly rename a series to reset contract terms back to first season. Needs to be addressed by all the guilds/unions and crushed. If I was Stephen DeKnight, I'd be pissed. I feel like this is not just a Disney thing. I think this is a business thing in Hollywood that happens all the time. Like, I mean, I have been in the trenches on The Walking Dead and heard about a lot of moves that happened with that show, particularly some young actors who were written out because they were due more money, and they started planning their life around being on The Walking Dead when they turned 18. And all of a sudden, well, if we keep you for that next year, we'd rather have a zombie bite you. So I think that Hollywood, this is in no way me agreeing with it, but I recognize this is something that happens all the time, and it's business, and it sucks. And Stephen DeKnight, I think, has the right to be pissed, but I think it also kind of helps me think, well, maybe that's why they won't say, is this a reboot? Is this canon? Can they just not say, because if they call it canon, then they have to pay people or something? I don't really know how all that works, but yeah, Sucks.
I will say, like, it is across Hollywood, but it is like a uniquely Disney thing. Like, people have noticed the pattern with Disney Channel shows of like Hannah Montana would be on for X amount of seasons and then it would be rebooted as Hannah Montana Forever. Or like the Jonas Brothers had their show and it was called Jonas LA in the last season. So it is weird to see that approach from Disney now extend to stuff outside of Disney Channel. So I don't blame him for having this reaction. It definitely is way too common, but yeah, it's just weird to have it happen so often for Disney.
Yeah,
I didn't know about the Hannah Montana bit.
Yeah, it's crazy. One cast member of, I think it was of Liv and Maddie, did an interview a couple months ago and like brought up that fact of it. And it's like, once you notice the pattern, it is extremely obvious with like a lot of their live action shows. It's wild.
Like, I don't do the TikTok stuff, but there are multiple TikToks showing you like, oh yeah, so Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Sweet Life on Deck, like a ton of them. Just it's endemic. But also it's across all programming, like you said, BD. There's so many shows where you get to 2 seasons, you get right there up to that season 3, and it's like, and we're done. All my Winning Time fans just nodded sagely in agreement, which is really, really sad. Oof. Ending the Lakers show with the Celtics triumphing and the most gut-wrenching loss in franchise history is a choice. So hopefully Stephen Knight is somewhere marching and getting donuts tossed at him in support of their cause, and hopefully they can get back to actually making TV shows than having to be amongst all of us on Twitter. I hope that we all should be doing something else.
All right, last bit of news before we take a break. Avengers Code Red is coming to Disney Plus on October 27th. They dropped a poster this week. There was posters for it at San Diego Comic-Con. This is the first Avengers movie post-Endgame, huh? It's a Lego film. It's pretty exciting. I love it. My buddy Mini Superheroes Daily runs a Lego channel, and I saw him with a theory that these characters might show up in Secret Wars. Ooh, something to chew on. We'll talk more about that next week. I will tell you, when this releases on Disney Plus, I'm going to try to get Jonathan from Mini Superheroes Daily to be a guest on Phase Zero. I think that would be a lot of fun. We're going to take a quick 1-minute break. When we come back, Yuri Lowenthal is on the show. We're talking Spider-Man 2. No spoilers. No spoilers, I promise. I haven't played the game, so I can't even go into spoilers. But we're going to talk about Spider-Man 2 in all its glory. It's a month away, and we're celebrating that today on Phase Zero with Yuri Lowenthal himself. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back to Phase Zero Season 3, Episode 38. We're rolling on right now. We have an epic special guest joining us for the second half of today's show. If you have questions, get those little fingies typing away right now in the comment section because we are live and this guy is a legend. He is the voice of Smoke in Mortal Kombat 1. He is the voice of He-Man in Masters of the Universe, Sasuke in Naruto, and right now he's on Phase Zero because he is the voice of Peter Parker, Spider-Man himself, in the upcoming Spider-Man 2. Mr. Yuri Lowenthal is on the show. Yuri, welcome to Phase Zero, my friend.
Thank you. I've been chomping at the bit backstage just because I'm like, I want to talk about the creator. I want to talk about shows that change the title that I've been on slightly so that they don't have to pay me any more money. But I couldn't because I was backstage. So
here we are. Now we're here. Now's well, have you seen the creator already?
I have not. You know, funny story. It's playing at Beyond Fest, which is my favorite Los Angeles-based genre film festival. Let's just say film festival. Period. And the tickets sell out so fast that I was like this at 10 a.m. when tickets went on sale. And I got, even though I knew it was going to be coming out because I'd already seen a giant billboard for it, I usually try to, when I go to film festivals like that, try to see movies that aren't going to necessarily come out. But I was like, that looks really cool. I had a ticket in my cart for it. And as I was trying to check out the site, because it was being crashed by so many people trying to buy tickets, I lost everything. I got no tickets to Beyond Fest. So boo.
You got to be able to you have to be able to pull the Spider-Man card.
Everybody who's like, well, what do you mean you pre-ordered the game? Aren't they just going to give you one? I'm like, well, sometimes they do, but I don't like to count on it. And I definitely don't want to miss out on 19 inches of Venom, So,
yo, IGN, or was that a PlayStation tweet?
That was a PlayStation tweet.
But, hey, they knew what they were doing.
I know, right?
And it worked. Right. It worked.
Yeah.
All right, I want to. We are Phase Zero. We talk Marvel every Wednesday. I want to hear from you, Yuri, first. A great way to get to know you. Something we did with Logan earlier in the show today. I'd love to hear about just your Marvel fandom. Where did it start for you? Were you a comics fan, animation, games? Now it's so much in live action. What does Marvel fandom mean to you?
I mean, Marvel fandom to me was comic books growing up. I read a lot of I read more comic books back when I was younger than I do now, probably because I've got a 7-year-old and he takes up most of my time. But yeah, I grew up reading comics. I mean, it's probably the reason that I'm wearing a Moon Knight t-shirt to a Spider-Man interview, because I have to rep, my what I love. But yeah, it was comics from way back. And early on, we didn't know that there was a thing. We just liked Marvel and DC. Like it was just like a thing. We didn't even care when I was young enough. And then, the great Marvel DC wars started, and we had to pick sides. And then we realized that we didn't have to pick sides. And so yeah, I've been. And then in the 80s, because I'm older than all of you put together, I used to. I went when that whole indie like comic, all the Comicos and the Grendels and Mages and all like the sort of the more indie labels were coming out with comics. I mean, I was really, really into that. And now I just sort of pick and choose. Like I don't even have a pull box anymore. I just sort of like when somebody recommends something, or if I'm interested in something, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go down and get that. Or somebody recommended this, or wait a minute, Bill Sienkiewicz is doing things again. Like I'll find the thing sort of individually. That's where I'm at these days.
That's amazing. So the first Spider-Man game really introduced a great characterization of Peter. He's a genius. He's maybe a little overambitious. He's very pure of heart. On a personal level, what did you learn and tap into about Spider-Man in bringing him to life for the first game?
I would like to believe that when I was cast, that they saw a lot of. I mean, I'm not brilliant by any stretch, trust me, but a lot of that is just who I am. Like, I mean, you'll if you close your eyes right now, you're like, he's doing the voice, and I'm like, because it's my voice. Like it's me. I mean, I think a lot of us connect to the humanity of Spider-Man, and I connect to to that and a bunch of other things too. Like he's a doofus and he makes bad jokes and he covers all his pain by smiling, which isn't to make you guys nervous every time I smile in this interview. But I know I do the same thing. I've always done that. Yeah. See, we're on the same page. So I mean, I definitely did a deep dive into responsibility and learned some, things about responsibility, because you kind of have to when you play this character. But I already have my own hangups about that. Like I think, again, to get personal, I think my dad made a big deal about responsibility when I was very young, and I probably took it on too hard. Like I probably feel responsible for more things than I have any right to feel responsible for, and it stresses me out most of the time. And so I have a very twisted relationship with responsibility. I know it's this character's thing, and with great power comes great responsibility, but sometimes I hate it. I hate responsibility because I already feel it too deeply.
Yuri, I think the thing that stood out the most in the previous Spider-Man game is that there is a lot of emotional heavy lifting that you are doing throughout that game. Like you're giving the one-liners and the quips in typical Spider-Man fashion, but especially when you get to the final hours of that game, there are some heavy moments. And I'm curious for you as an actor, do you look forward to those instances, performing them, or those your favorite days on set? Or do you kind of, how do you approach those more difficult moments in the game compared to the ones where, you know, you're just being Spider-Man and you're making bad jokes and stuff like that, like you mentioned?
Those instances scare the shit out of me most of the time. But sometimes they also, you know, catch me unawares. Like we go into shooting a scene and I think I know how it's going to go. And then Bill Salyers, you know, who played Doc Ock in that game, will be right opposite me, and he'll do something that I wasn't expecting, and it'll change everything. Which is why I loved in this game, you know, so much of what we do in video games, and, you know, even so much of, you know, Spider-Man is recorded solo. You're in a booth, the director's there, they can give you, you know, Chris Zimmerman is a genius, and she has played a huge part in, you know, bringing those performances out of all of us, and keeping, you know, all the pieces where they need to be. But there is something that you get when an actor is across from you and you're acting with somebody that would, like, we got to shoot all the cinematics like we were doing a play or shooting a movie. And so all the actors were there for those scenes. So having Bill there, having Nancy there for, you know, as Aunt May right in front of me, between that and the brilliant writing, you know, that we've gotten from Insomniac for this game, really does most of the heavy lifting. I think most actors will tell you if the writing is there, our job becomes much easier. And that goes double with when you have then another actor opposite, you know, and you're just there with them. So sometimes it's scary. Yeah. You know, I'll be honest. I'm not a like super technical actor in that, like, I don't go in knowing exactly how it's going to go. I wish that I could, because I go nervous into, you know, when I go in, but I don't have the skill to, you know, execute very specific things necessarily if they're needed. And so it's scary. It's scary going into those sometimes, because I don't know what's going to happen.
So jumping into Spider-Man 2, you guys are really building out the universe. As a Marvel fan, what did you find the most exciting about getting to bring in all of the awesome new characters like Venom and all of the other ones?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Spider-Man has such a great, like second to Batman, or, you know, arguably comparable to Batman, has like the greatest rogues gallery, I think, of any, you know, comic book hero out there. And so I think half the, you know, well, not half the reason necessarily, but, you know, I think people are excited about this game, and Spider-Man fans are excited because they're like, okay, who do we get this time? And, oh, we get these, but we know they're holding back on some too, you know, so who else are we going to see? Are we going to see Big Wheel? Are we, you know, no, you're not going to see Big Wheel. I mean, you know, I lobbied hard for Big, I lobbied hard for Spot, you know, early on, and then, you know, we got it in the movies, so that's good. But you know, I think that's great. I think the, you know, and in true, you know, Insomniac style, you're going to get a version of that villain that you're used to, and, you know, all the reasons you love that villain, but it's not going to be the same as it usually is. You know, you're going to get something new, which is another thing that I just find exciting about these games. Is it's, you know, all the familiar stuff that you love, but wait, it's slightly different, and so it keeps you on your toes and it keeps it exciting. And so you know, I obviously can't talk about too much without spoiling it, but I was excited by the choices. And, you know, you know, we do the game, I do my part in the game, and then I end up you know, playing the game, or let's be honest, watching YouTube playthroughs of the game, or, you know, now that my son has started playing, he just started playing the first game, he's 7, or, you know, playing it with him, there are surprises for me, even though I was involved in you know, in the whole game. There are bits where I just wasn't involved, and so things surprise me too, and I'm looking forward to that as well.
Well, Jim, you can run exclusive Big Wheel's not in Spider-Man 2.
That broke my heart. Oh my gosh. I love
guys,
Big Wheel. That was so disappointing.
If you were tuning in to get the Big Wheel game, while I would love that, I don't think that's going to happen.
They threw a cameo in for it, though, at least in the Coney Island sequence, didn't they? I think the there's a Ferris wheel or something like that, and people notice that it's called the Big Wheel.
The Big Wheel. You know, I honestly, it's, you know, and this was true for the first game too. Like, I would just sit down just to swing around. Like I told them, I said, you should just have like tourist mode where it turns off all missions, all encounters, all everything, and just let people swing. I already want to spend like days in Coney Island. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Okay. So, and Jim's gonna absolutely deport me if I don't ask you about Kraven. So, he's not a hunter in some of these movies that are coming out, much to the internet chagrin. Is he going to be hunting Spider-Man? He's here too. I know all the marketing surrounding Venom, but Kraven's a pretty big deal for Spider-Man.
Yeah. Kraven will be hunting, and Kraven has a lot of people working here for him who will also be hunting. And I think as a player, you'll have your hands full. And again, it's a lot of the Kraven stuff that we've seen before, and a lot that you haven't. So, but I don't think anybody's going to be disappointed in the hunt, as it were. It's great. It's a great storyline. So yes, Kraven. I can confirm, Kraven the Hunter will be hunting in this game.
That's more than we could say for some of the movies, though. So it is a fair question in 2023.
Right. Fair enough.
Yuri, one thing I'm curious to get your reaction to, and something that happened a few years ago now, is that Insomniac announced that they were changing the design of Peter Parker for Marvel Spider-Man 2 and moving forward. Yeah. And this has been something that I think fans have had a little bit of difficulty, wrapping their minds around, especially those who haven't gone back and played the PS5 remaster, where I know that they shifted that around. I guess in your own experience, how long did it take for you to kind of get used to that change? And I assume you knew about it far in advance of them making the decision to change the look, but was that something that was a little bit odd for you as well, working behind the scenes?
No, because the performance was the same for me. And I got over it as soon as they said, hey, we want to make this change so that the facial animation is better. And I'm like, I'm all in. I don't care. I don't care if he looks like a goblin. If my performance looks better, then I'm in. So I think, I'm kind of tired of talking about it, to be honest, because I think everything, that needed to be said has been said about it. And some people will take longer to get over it. Some people will never get over it. You'll always have that. I think the one positive thing that I take away from this experience is that people connected emotionally to that character so hard and so deeply in the first game that they're mad when they feel like that person changes, and I can only be so mad about that because it worked, not the change thing, but I mean, you connected emotionally with the character, which is great. Now get over it.
Do you have a favorite meme?
Awesome,
Since we're talking about internet reactions, do you have like a favorite meme or viral clip you've seen from the games?
Oh man. I don't know. I'm not big up on my memes. I thought
you were going to say you're not very active on social media, and I was going to be like, what is it like living a peaceful life?
No. Well, I'll tell you what. It's a lot harder when you get older to keep up on all that stuff. It just takes more time, and you're worse at it. So it's really a lose-lose situation. But a lot of people have been passing around that Shocker meme, which I didn't even remember from the original show. I'm just fascinated by how intense people are about, that better be in the game or I'm just going to stop. Okay. But that's sort of the meme that's in my head right now from the first game. I did love a lot of it's not really meme territory, but I loved a lot of the mods when they ported it to PC. Some of the mods were amazing. Like, I would play, somebody modded it with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I would play that game. I would give you $60 to play the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles version of Spider-Man. It was awesome. So I love that it inspires people to get creative, on all levels. I love that people love the suits. I love, the photography, the in-game photography has been staggering. There's some of the stuff that comes out of that. I can't even believe people are capturing that from the game. So, I mean, most stuff I just love that people are inspired, to go further in the game and to replay a game. A lot of games you're like, it was awesome, but now move on to another game. And, I get these, I see these posts where people are like, I just finished my 10th platinum of Spider-Man. I'm like, what? And I just love that people come back to it and it inspires people. It's awesome.
Yeah, this feels like it's rare that we get a game that everybody agrees on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this one, you don't really see people out there having bad things to say about the Spider-Man games. It's just like a community experience to take the selfies in the game and share them online, and then it's really fun, man.
And I want a character, like it's very Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, the community is very positive, and they do cool things, and anyone can wear the mask, so go for it.
Yeah, that's the line right there. A lot of people have worn the mask in the various mediums we talked about at the top of this interview, whether it's comics, whether it's video games, animation, movies, live action. That includes the villains. Like Venom has his own movie franchise, and we've seen these things in a lot of different mediums. When you take on the role of Spider-Man, do you look at any of those and say, okay, I like that, or say, well, that's been done that way, so I want to make sure I kind of do this, a different way, so it feels fresh? Or do you just finally, or just completely just your thing where you're like, what, I feel like I can bring myself to this and it will be unique in that, just for that?
I think it leans towards the latter. I think it would be disingenuous for me to say, oh, I wasn't influenced by any of the awesome Spider-Mans who have, who I've loved, growing up. I was a big Toby guy, and I've seen, all the incarnations, over the years. And so I think it would be wrong for me to say I wasn't influenced by anything. I was just starting from scratch. I just threw away everything, Lee and Ditko did, and all the writers who've come through, and we're just going to make a whole new Spider-Man. But I think the only way for me to separate it from that, rather than modeling it off of one or the other that I liked, or that I felt was particularly formative, I went with what Insomniac was doing. I came with what I come with naturally, and then worked with Insomniac to create that Spider-Man for that story. And hopefully, it has, again, enough of the DNA that people are like, that's not Spider-Man. But enough, new stuff, that you haven't seen before. A lot of the, Spider-Man stories you see, we're like, oh, okay, we're doing the whole, origin story thing again, and it's pretty much the same, because they were telling, a different but similar story. It helped change it up without me really having to do anything, I think.
Have you met any of the other Spider-Mans?
I have Josh Keaton. Josh and I are friends. That counts,
yeah.
Right? I was gonna say, I wonder if James Arnold Taylor, the voicey Spideys.
Sure.
I know several of. I met Shamik briefly once. I know. Watch. I'm gonna get a mad posting from somebody who's like, you didn't say about the time that I'm afraid of yours, and you didn't mention me as Spider-Man. Yeah, we Spider-Mans could do that with each other.
Just constantly pointing at each other.
I met Jack Quaid recently, and now we're best friends. And he's Peter Parker. That counts. And he and I are part of a club now of actors who've played both Superman and Spider-Man. Of which I don't think there are that many. I think Nicolas Cage might be the only other member of our club.
Wow!
But I want somebody to fact check me on that.
You guys should make there should be a varsity jacket for that accomplishment.
We totally have to.
That's a very exclusive club.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Okay, hold on. But speaking of meeting other Spider-Mans, I do have, of course, a hypothetical question, because we saw your Spider-Man show up in a film, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Does that now mean that a Spider-Man from that film could show up in a video game?
God, I hope so. Here's the thing. They don't, again, surprises even from me. They don't tell me all of the stuff that's in the game, mostly just because it's, I don't need it to do my job. So I don't know, to be honest. I hope. I'm hoping just like everybody else. It was cool that they, we were so excited when they included Insomniac Spider-Man in the movie. I think it would only be fair. So cool. I would hope going forward that there's more crossover.
They're going to get so secretive in what they tell you. They're just going to have you record the dialogue on the day when each player gets to that scene.
Patching. They're patching like rapidly. Like,
go.
We're going to do something. I thought the game was already out. Well, it's out, but
we got a kid in Texas. He just hit that part. Go.
Oh my God.
So we asked for a couple listener questions. Nick Valdez, who is a comic book writer who's been on the show before, asked if playing Sasuke on Naruto helped with your Spider-Man kind of sinking into darkness at all.
That's a great question, because while it was never a conscious decision when I was recording, symbiote influenced Spider-Man, it is inevitable that there would be some crossover, because that's more Sasuke's, stomping ground, really. To be sort of dark and if Toby will allow me, emo with Spider-Man, and just sort of aggressive and doesn't care who gets hurt. So yeah, I mean maybe it did, maybe before I played Sasuke, I just played chipper, bright-eyed young naive heroes, and then Sasuke happened, and I had to dig a little deeper to find that kind of stuff, because like I said, I wear a different, suit on the surface. So yeah, it wasn't a conscious decision, but I'm sure Sasuke's in all that.
Yuri, how collaborative is it with the writing team when you are coming up with the quips and the jokes that Spider-Man is spitting out in these games? And have you come up with any on yourself? And what are some of your own favorites that maybe stick in your mind that you think back on?
Oh man, in the beginning, I was so nervous that like we've discussed before, the writing, you don't need to mess with the writing, because the writing is great to start with, and super funny and well thought out and written by people who truly love Spider-Man. But as we got deeper and deeper into that first game, and I felt more and more comfortable, and I was thinking like Spider-Man while we were recording, every now and then something would occur to me, or I'd get the script the night before and I'd be reading, I'd be like, oh, it'd be really funny. And I'd make a little note in the, in the side. And so I would start coming up with things, and I'll be honest with you, probably most of the time they're like, hey, that was great. Okay, burn that one and go with the first take. But because they're under no obligation to take any rewrites that I ever do, but some of them do make it through. Every now and then they're like, that was really funny. Or sometimes, like in the first game, I'll say something like I say with most, sort of outtakey material, and I assume that it'll never see the light of day. And then all of a sudden it'll be in the game, and they're under no obligation to tell me what they keep of mine. So it's always a surprise to me. And often we've kind of merged into this one, spider being, where I'll hear something, I'll be like, did I come up with that, or did they write that? But in the first game, I think I said something, either in an interview or at a convention, on a panel or something. I said, yeah, I came up with this, one of my favorite ad-libs that I came up with was "Yippee-ki-yay, mother spiders," and I was like, but they couldn't put it in the game. And then somebody posted gameplay where it was in the game, and I just assumed they had burned it, and it made it into the game. So it's all surprises to me these days. But we've gotten into a really good groove where they're very flexible with, they're very open to me at least trying on something. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Sometimes I'll come up with something that I think is hilarious, and sometimes they'll think is hilarious, but it's like too long for the moment. There are certain lines that have to be short and snappy for combat, and I come up with this elaborate joke, and they're like, yeah, that was funny, but it's 7 times as long as we need for this line. So there are a lot of factors at play that sometimes determine whether or not something gets into the game.
That's awesome. Yippee-ki-yay, mother spiders. Speaking of trying things on, the chat has a lot of people in our live comment section are asking do you have to change your voice at all when you're voicing Spider-Man, when Spider-Man is wearing the black suit versus Peter Parker in his traditional colored suit?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a character shift, and I'll be honest with you, it shifts, gradually throughout his experience with the symbiote. So it starts in one place, and as the symbiote, takes stronger and stronger hold over Peter, it changes throughout. And that was something that we paid a lot of attention to going through, and where Chris Zimmerman, our performance director, was always on me. She's like, "That was a great take, but it was too Pete, or it was too symbiote. Like, we're not, because we record out of sequence. Sometimes I'll think that Peter's in a different place than what we're recording is, and she'll be like, that would be great if it was regular Peter, but we're at this point in the game, and so that doesn't work. So yeah, I mean, I would argue that I don't change my voice per se. Like, I don't put on a really cool, like British symbiote accent as it goes on, or but the character changes, and so the voice inevitably changes.
No British symbiote. I'm
sorry. I tried on a bunch of stuff. We did like a German accent, we did like a Kiwi accent,
yes, Dr. Octopus. I don't know what that was and why I thought it was a symbiote voice. That's why I'm not the voice actor here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Someone in chat added to Brandon's weird accent Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
It's every week. I don't know why. It's terrible every week, and I just keep doing them. I'm sorry. Let's act like that didn't happen and keep going.
We're burning that take. Fans already want Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 2 is not out yet. How long are you down to play this character?
Man, I'll be honest. I'm just excited that at my age they still let me play Spider-Man, or they ever let me play Spider-Man in the first place. So I'll do it to my dying breath if they'll let me, because I love it so much, and I love working with them so much, and I love what they do, and I love being Spider-Man. I gotta say, I love being Spider-Man. It is the best. So I mean, I'll do it forever if they ask me to, but I also understand if at some point they're like, you know what, we're going to have to switch gears. And I'm like, you know what, I had a good run. Not everybody can say that they, did what I get to do. So I'm happy right now. Like, even if it ended today, I'd be like, man, I did that. But I also hope it goes on forever.
Man, I hope it goes on forever too. Long enough to build out a fully. Growing up a comics fan, I'm sure you fantasize about this stuff. And this is our last question. Then we got to let you go talk one-on-one with Logan for a bit. But I think back to like Iron Man launching the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Iron Man was not nearly as popular as Spider-Man was in 2008, and he launched the MCU. It was one good movie, launched an entire cinematic franchise. Spider-Man feels like it could be that for PlayStation. It could be this thing that was so incredible. Spider-Man, granted, incredibly popular already, but it was such a good game. There's so much to it. We know there's a Wolverine game coming, stuff like that. As a fan, purely as a fan, I don't know if you know anything about this, if they tell you this stuff, whatever. But do you start fantasizing about, like, man, we really could be doing a full-on Marvel video game universe on PlayStation?
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight. Jim?
You're not paying attention? Right.
I know.
The only problem with there being a Moon Knight game is that they probably wouldn't let me also play Moon Knight. But at least I would get to play a Moon Knight game. So so we do win, and we do get. I mean, they've already confirmed the Arachnite suit for the new game. So I'm excited to at least sort of fake it.
Man, I'll tell you, Moon Knight as a game would be insane because you just get already built-in different characters you could play as.
Exactly.
That'd be insane.
I'm just putting it out there. I hope it does. I mean, I think they've done such a good job that it would be silly for Marvel not to go, we need to do more of this. When you look at the universe, it's endless. I mean, the stories that they could tell and the combos they could do and crossovers and everything. So yeah, man. more that, more everything. Since I put Moon Knight out there, I'm always a big fan of the whole BPRD universe and that the Hellboy universe, and like more games like that, please.
Just don't encroach on Daredevil. I think Troy Baker's trying to get like
Yeah.
that cornered for himself. I've noticed the past couple of years.
Has he been lobbying for that? That's
been
okay, as long as he doesn't want to do
Years.
But yeah, no, that's okay. We've all got our zones, man.
Just put them together. Daredevil and Spider-Man. How many times have they crossed over?
Right?
Are
It
we
seems like
writing this thing?
no-brainer.
I think we just wrote Spider-Man 3. Moon Knight, Daredevil, Spider-Man.
I just noticed, and because this, embarrassingly enough, I gave like I 3%ed the game originally and walked away just because I'm lazy. But I've been playing it. I started at the beginning playing it with my son now, and I've gotten further with him, and I'm noticing things that I didn't notice because I didn't play through little details they put in. But it was on a bulletin board at Feast. There's a thing for some lawyers, and it was like Murdoch, and I forget what it was, but it was and I was like, I never, because they don't tell me stuff about stuff like that when we're recording the game. It just doesn't help me in what I'm doing. But I love Easter eggs like that, and I love details, and they're really good at details, and it's been fun getting back and playing it and seeing those.
I would be so annoying if I was you. I would just be texting my boss every day and being like, "Yo, tell me." But it's probably
Brian Intihar has already given. I mean, he's just mad that every time I call him, I want to talk about Moon Knight. And he's like, enough with the Moon Knight.
One day. Hey, keep pushing, keep fighting that good fight. We appreciate you, man. Yuri, honestly, it has been an absolute awesome honor to talk with you on Phase Zero today. I cannot wait to experience Spider-Man 2. The Spider-Man games are the reason I own a PlayStation. I'm not going to lie. They are the reason I have that console sitting right over there. And
Sony is very happy to hear
that. hey, man, I love these games. I'm so grateful we got a chance to talk with you today. I'll let you go. I know you're going to talk to Logan, an interview that's going to be on comicbook.com later, closer to the release of the game. I know everybody in our comment section is very excited for this game. So thank you so much for joining us on Phase Zero today.
You bet.
All right, everybody. That is our show. What an awesome interview that was. Logan, I'll let you sign off first here if you need to pop off to that Zoom. Any last words you want to share for the Phase Zero show today?
What's that? I'm sorry.
I'm going to let you pop off here because I know you're going to go interview Yuri for an interview that's going to come closer to the game release. So any last words for Phase Zero today?
I don't think so. Thank you guys so much for having me on and talking games. We'll have to do it again closer to the release of the actual game next month.
I think there's a sequel to this episode about a month from now.
For sure.
Yeah, man. All right, dude. Good luck with your Yuri interview. Thank you so much for joining us, Logan. Everybody in the comment section, snaps for Logan. Snaps for Logan. Oh, wow. That was awesome. All right, guys, we got to wrap it up. We are a little bit over on time today. Not that we have a hard out or we're on television, so it doesn't really matter, but we have to act like it's important. Jenna, any last words for today's show?
I was going to say I would be very excited to do an episode about the game itself as long as we all get copies to play because I'm very excited to play that game. It's at Hey It's Jenna Lynn on whatever social media platforms may or may not exist anymore. As always, go read some comics. The Loki miniseries and the Guardians of the Galaxy ongoing both had very incredible issues this week. The Guardians issue made me cry. So definitely go check out those books if you're not already reading them.
Do it. Aaron, what you got?
It's at SummerLakeHornet on Twitter. I would like to say shout out to everybody in the comments for asking so many fun questions. I've never seen so many shocker references in a Phase Zero episode. Thank you guys so much. And stay tuned to comicbook.com where we're covering all the weird Disney World additions that they're planning. Josh Amaro's like, we'd like to do Wakanda out of nowhere yesterday. So be on the lookout for that and more King Thanos.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining today. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do this every Wednesday, and starting on October 5th, we'll be doing it every Thursday night for new episodes of Loki. Leave a 5-star review. Huge thanks to Yuri for being our guest. Huge thanks to Paul, who is awesome, for helping connect us with. I love Paul, so I just want to shout out Paul. Paul knows who he is, for helping set that interview up. And not heavy spoilers, Paul. He's awesome too, but that's not who I'm shouting out. And that's our show today. We'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.